The Obama administration response to all this? They are monitoring the situation. Monitoring. These people are forming a real terrorist state. This is not imagination. IS could become a power broker in that volatile region. Then what, Mr. Obama? Joining me now, investigative journalist and Daily Ledger contributor Kimberly Dvorak. Kimberly, they've made a lot of gains recently, tactically speaking, on the battlefield, and now they're kind of consolidating, including going after the Kurds.
Yeah, well, the last week or so, we've actually seen increased fighting in northern Iraq. And in the past, when they came into Fallujah, Mosul, and some of the other cities in northern Iraq that are very important, we saw the Iraqi, of course, the U.S.-trained Iraqi army just turn around and flee. Well, now we're seeing the same situation playing out up in the Kurdistan region, where the government in Baghdad really hoped, as did, I believe, the United States, that the Kurds would put up a bigger fight. However, we've seen the exact same results we've seen throughout Iraq, and they are now taking over water sources in the form of dams, so that the IS state will actually be collecting revenues, and so that they'll be able to purchase, more weaponry, be able to hire more rebels, so on and so forth. And
yeah, and they're also doing the same thing with the oil fields as well.
Yeah.
I mean, these people are not dumb. They know what they're doing. These are not just some fanatical crazies that have taken over a portion of a country. They have a plan, and they're executing it.
They're absolutely. And then you also look at why, they're able to collect and get a whole bunch of different fighters. But, in the Middle East, I mean, jobs are really hard to come by, and the jobs that, are out there for young men are either jihadi jobs or working with the Iraqi government in the form of joining their army. And right now we're just seeing that those are the jobs people are flocking to, and they don't have the experience. And so we're seeing a very high number of death toll, and you're seeing the terrors being played out on a daily basis with members of IS who are lopping off the heads, literally, of leaders in cities and towns and putting them on a pole, so where that factor of fear strikes everyone in the community, and everybody just puts down their weapons or just grabs their families and run. It's a dire situation right now.
It's horrible. And, they're promising these fighters, by the way, heaven and, 32 virgins or whatever, and I guess that's enough to sell these fanatics who apparently don't value life the way the West does. But speaking of the West, you mentioned the Kurds. The United States really is just kind of watching this thing unfold from the sidelines. In fact, the Kurds were asking the United States, the Obama administration, for help. They needed ammunition, and so far as I know, we haven't given them a single bullet.
Yeah, absolutely. You're correct on that. The Defense Department as well as state have both come out and stated, yes, they realize that the Iraqis are pleading for help. They would really enjoy a lot of good support in the form of air power that the United States has in the region, and they have been so reluctant to even, as you said, provide one bullet for these people over there. And we're seeing the slaughter of Christians and as well as Shiites. I mean, this is a dire situation. The IS is so comfortable and so powerful, they decided over the weekend that they would probe into Lebanon, and this has to concern the administration, that if they decide they're going to have another prong of attack outside the Iraq and Syria situation, that they're able to even get down to Lebanon and cause trouble down there.
What does Hezbollah do in a situation like this? Any idea? I mean, obviously they're different terrorists, but they're both fanatical terrorists. Do you think, by any chance, they would join forces?
I don't think that they would join forces. In fact, the Lebanese government, came out with a very strong attack against the IS, the member of the Islamic group there, and they, the Hezbollah offered their support, but the Lebanese government said, no, we're taking care of it. The fighting is still going on there. They are having a number of issues with fatalities. But it's in the northwestern part of Lebanon, which borders with Syria. So you're not getting information out on a minute-by-minute basis. But the last report said that they suffered a lot of fatalities on both sides, and the Lebanese government was committed to fighting against IS in their country, and said they wouldn't tolerate them.
Speaking of fatalities, do we have any idea how many people have been killed by IS through this thing? We've seen the videos, we've seen the pictures, and they're just brutal. And they look like they're slaughtering people by the dozens, maybe the hundreds.
Yeah, well, I mean, the numbers are certainly in the thousands at this point. We just got word that in Mount Sinjar in Iraq, there's a little mountaintop little area that a lot of the Iraqis fled to, anywhere from 10 to 40,000 Iraqis. And we got word today that they have been surrounded by IS, and children have already started dying, and they have no water, no resources. The Iraqi government tried to airdrop water bottles down to the refugees there and have been very unsuccessful in helping them. And it looks to me and others that this could be a huge death toll here if they're not allowed to go out, because if they do leave the little mountaintop area, they go right into IS and they're shot dead immediately. So this is something that is of grave concern to the Iraqis. And again, where's the U.S. government on this? I mean, are we prepared to, get in the headlines for Gaza, where we have 1,800, civilians or whatnot killed in Gaza, but we're having thousands being slaughtered by a brutal dictator, like group there that is consolidating their power. It should scare everybody.
It scares me, and to think Americans spilled blood for this to happen. Kimberly.
Well, let me ask you one last point here on this. Eric Holder came out and told CBS a week or two ago that for the first time he's extraordinarily fearful as to what is going to happen, and he's fearful of what's going on in the Middle East. What does he know that he's not telling us? Does he know the capabilities that IS present?
Well, he knows what they've done so far, and if they happen to somehow take Baghdad and the entire government, look out, because you're talking about a terrorist state.
Yes, and we have unsecure southern borders, and that's playing out as well. So he might be, trying to signal to the United States, population, or maybe some of the cabinet members, we better wake up here. We're going to find another attack here on the homeland.
Well, maybe so. Hard to believe from that source, but either way, this is a terrible mess. And the United States has to have some sort of stand here.
Yeah, they do. Something.
All right, Kimberly, thanks. Coming up next...